Welcome back to The Reset. I am Sean Tucker, human performance scientist and authority architect. We are here in the Living Lab, documenting the science, the struggle, and the shift for every high-performance dad and founder who is ready to bridge the gap between their ambition and their presence. Today, I'm in the Living Lab with an honorable guest, legend of a man. His name is Karim Boktor. And if you don't know who Karim is, he's a doctorate researcher and international TEDx speaker who has spent years watching elite athletes train harder, work with the best coaches, and still hit the same invisible ceiling. He built the Boktor Method to go where conventional coaching cannot, deep into the subconscious, where the real performance patterns live. He works with athletes and executives globally, helping them find the edge that has been sitting underneath their performance all along. Karim, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, mate. Great intro. Thank you.
I wish I could say I wrote it myself, but unfortunately I didn't. No, man, we've known each other for, I reckon, close to 4, maybe even over 4 years now. And just watching you on the sidelines, me on the sidelines, not you on the sidelines, of course, you're the main star of the show, has been fun. It's been, part of me gets a little bit jealous sometimes. Like, you are literally owning your own lane. And I love it so much because when we first got to know each other, I think you just sort of pulled yourself out of a hypnotherapy coaching cert and really getting deep into that. And you were launching yourself as a business because you had a massive breakthrough in your own life. You were running businesses before. And yeah, love for you to start there. Like, what's your journey been like since that point?
Ooh, it's been quite of a journey. I still feel like I am on a journey. I don't think the journey will ever finish. But what really catapulted me here and why I'm wanting to do the things that I'm doing is it was at a moment where I could continue going down a path that was highly destructive, or I could find an exit, right? And that exit needed to be, couldn't come sooner. When I was in a business, we settled into a business the same week that we had our first child, and he wasn't sleeping, and that meant I wasn't sleeping or my wife wasn't sleeping. So I was going into the business not being able to lead, and I couldn't understand why couldn't my business operate since I have run many businesses before. I'm ticking all the boxes. I've hired the best marketing people, the best business coaches, but why couldn't my business perform? I just felt like there was this black cloud over me, and it just the way it was, like, it's just bad luck. And then one day I was feeling sorry for myself in my jocks, and I'm thinking, that's it, right? I couldn't pay rent. I couldn't pay wages. I'm so screwed. I could use other words, but I'm not sure if I can swear. And I was just in the dumps, right? And then I was watching Tony Robbins. I didn't know who he was really at the time. Like, this guy's really speaking to me. Like, he's helping so many people in such little time.
Yeah.
Inspirational, motivational. I don't know much about him, right? But something is speaking to me about him. And so I researched what he studied, which was neurolinguistic programming. Never heard of it before. I'm like, I'm going to have a look at it. I enrolled myself into like a 2-week course, introductory. Maybe it was a reason for me to escape at the time, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, my business started to boom. And I'm like, what? I've just spent $100,000 on my MBA, and that couldn't solve my problem. And here I am doing a 2-week course that I've never heard about, and my business starting to boom. And so I started looking into it. And what I realized is that the bottleneck was me.
Yes.
Right. And that was really hard to own and a really hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. Yeah. But I wanted to not only do well for the business, but I sat myself down and really thought, I wanted to be a gold standard for my son. I didn't want him to be born into a world where he's like, Dad, where he looks at me and he looks at me being this anxious person running all over the place with depressive bouts, 140 kilos, so much crap going on inside of me. It's easy for me to be like, well, this is just who I am. You don't know my story.
Yeah,
It's easy,
definitely.
right? I didn't want that for him. I didn't want him to look up and think that's his gold standard. And so I needed to pull my head in and understand why I was doing the things that I'm doing and how to become a better leader. And it was such a remarkable moment in my life. I remember thinking, why isn't anyone else hearing about this? And
Yeah.
that was my journey of starting to learn more, becoming a master practitioner and then a master trainer and then learning other courses and other modalities. And then, it was the birth of the Boktor Method yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because I love what you said, being the gold standard for your boy, right? Your
Mhm.
child. You've now got 3 children, and I'm sure they've noticed. If not, I doubt it that they've noticed consciously, but I'm sure they've seen the evolution of you going
Mm.
from that moment of being the victim and being the hero to now actually being someone who is of incredible value, who can change people's lives through being not only vulnerable, but understanding and acknowledging exactly where you are.
Mm.
It takes a lot of guts to show up and look at yourself in the mirror that way. And being 140 kilos, man, that's no lightweight.
Definitely heavyweight champion.
I know how tall you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not that tall for for people listening. I think I'm only about like 173 centimeters. So yeah.
What did you have to do, or how did you have to change what you did as you were showing up after that moment of being in your jocks, just feeling probably depressed, miserable, unknowing of what the future holds next? But what was the thing that happened in how you changed, how you showed up? Like, I'm sure it's still carrying you forward right now.
I think, and I've never really thought about that until you just asked me this, right? I'm getting goosebumps. So my dad escaped persecution from Egypt and he came here with nothing. He had to flee Egypt with 3 kids and his wife, with no language, no money, no job. And I think that was one of the hardest things that someone can do. We came to Australia homeless. At one point, we were living at, on the couch, some other, relative's house. And then we lived in housing commissions. And I remember seeing the stress and despair of my dad's face. He was a proud business owner in Egypt, and then he came to wash dishes. It's just, I can imagine how heartbreaking and stressful that may be. Not knowing how he's going to feed his kids, how he's going to work. And I remember in that moment when I was sitting down on the couch thinking, it's not poor me. Like, look at what my dad had to go through. I'm sitting in my jocks in an apartment in Richmond, right in the city. Like, what the hell? Pick yourself up. Learn from your dad. He's a warrior. If your dad can do something like that, why can't I? Dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and make that decision. Decide. What do you want to do now? And I had to make a choice. I had to decide.
Yeah. Sounds like you put yourself into the back darkest room in the house, or in the place you could fathom, and you had the loaded gun, right? You have to make a decision.
You have to make a decision. You can either stay where you are or make an escape for the exit. It was rock bottom. I didn't think I could I could get further down, but did I want to? And it's easy to make that excuse. It's easy to give up, right? And I'm sure people will be around me telling me, it's okay, you tried, but it didn't work out. But is that the story that I want to tell myself when I'm 80, looking back? That's not my life.
Yeah. How much of that, what you just said there, is it the story that I want to tell myself when I'm 80? Or is it the story you want your son to speak about you when you are 80?
I think
Which,
initially
yeah.
it's me looking back at myself. I'm a big FOMO, right? And I'm a
Yeah.
big adventurer. I'm a big, life's big. I don't want to miss out. And I've only got one life kind of guy. And I've had that regret before. And it was painful. And I vowed myself never to do something that I never wanted to do. Because why? Why not? It's silly. But then when I had my son, it's like, what legacy and what gift do I want to give him? Just like my dad gave that gift to me. In that moment, it was a thing that, and it's not just that moment. Every hard moment that I go through, it's the gift that my dad has given me. When watching him going through those turbulent times and that resilience, that nothing could kill him, is the gift that he gave me. And I want to give that same gift to my son. But I think more on a global level as well. What's that global difference that I'm wanting to make? If I can make a difference to myself, theoretically, I can make a difference to my son. Theoretically, I can make a difference to my family, but then theoretically, I can make a difference to the world.
Yeah.
Right?
It is interesting because, I mean, for a man who's literally studying the power of his own method and understanding the subconscious at such profound, deep levels, globally really just means you, right? Because if you can affect change on yourself and really rewire how you are, it's going to have an ebb and flow ripple effect on the entire world anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, through my eyes, it is, because the way that I'm seeing the world is different. The people who know me from growing up in primary school or high school, I bump into them and they're like, dude, you're so different from who you were. I was very different. I was a very different person. I couldn't speak. I was, had trouble communicating, right? I was very cheeky. I was all sorts. I had every label under the sun, ADHD, dyslexia, wasn't a really good student at all. And they're seeing me different. And now I'm doing my doctorate. That stuff is it's not, I don't know. People are like, how does that happen? And I want to show people that it's very possible.
I was going to say, how does it happen? Is it because I've got pretty good eyes for it too, right? This is what I would say that I'm very good at, is noticing those patterns, and the really, really deep subconscious patterns is what I studied, and looking at how do you allow change to happen? Because it's not about forcing change. I think it's allowing it to happen. Change is inevitable. It's happening all the time. But it's when we get so stuck in our mind that this is who we think we are. It's the identity piece. That stops us from actually accessing change.
Yes.
Right? And I think when you stop and really pay attention to that mirror that is reflected back to you, it's like you now have the choice. Do you accept it or do you allow it to change? I think you've been able to execute that wildly well. So really hats off to you, man. But I'd love it to hear it from your perspective. How has that process actually happened for you?
I think for me, it's hang on, I'm teaching this to my clients. And if I'm teaching it to my clients, why can't I teach it to me? right? And really live what I'm teaching. And that's what I go by. And what I've noticed along the way is knowing more about what was holding me back. And I work off, I'm a very simplistic man, right? And I like to simplify things. People think that like they're all so complicated and the challenges that they're going through are all so complicated. And the reason why they can't get to that next, gear of greatness is because of things that are so complicated. It ain't so complicated, right? And so I tell people that all those unwanted behaviors come down to 5 key emotions. I didn't discover this. This was taught to me. Anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. These are the top vibrational frequencies or emotions that stop someone from achieving greatness, right? But out of those 5, what I've learned, this is what I've discovered along my journey, that there was always one that kept popping up 90% of the time. One. So there was one thing. It's not a bullet. It's not someone holding a gun to your head. It's not a brick wall. It's a freaking emotion that's stopping you from living your greatest life. Fear. Fear. And it's not even a real fear. It's an imagined fear.
I was going to ask, well, how is fear even an emotion?
Your body creates a story, right? And it loves familiarity. And it's like you tell yourself, I want to get to this next level. And then your brain does a little bit of a scan. It's like, oh, hang on. It goes through, like it looks through the files in the file cabinet. And it's like, according to our past, we haven't done that before. Right? And so because we haven't done it before, we're going to pull the plug. It's going to be scary. It's going to be a no from us. And so your nervous system is like, sounds an alarm the next time you want to do this thing. And so it starts to shut down and starts telling you that it's fearful. Right? And then your body starts to do things and create reasons why you can't do this next thing. But you're feeling scared. It's not an obvious fear. It's not something like, oh, I'm scared of the boogeyman. There is just internal feeling and then a story on top of that. And then on top of that is the behavior that you don't do. That's the fear. And there are 2 fears. A fear of failure, which is half the story. But what most people don't know, and what I have learned about me, is that there was a fear of success. People are like, what? Mate, give me $1 million. I'm not fearful of having that $1 million. I get it. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's the road to get there. It's unfamiliar. So you hear about people like, hey, Karim, I came from nothing, right? And I've got a really successful business in construction or insert whatever business, but I find that I'm like not good with money. I'm giving it all away. And then I'm like, what's happening there? And then they've got a money story, right? Their dad was like, money's the root of all evil. Or they saw people with a lot of money that a lot of people spoke about unfavorably, and they didn't want to become that person. So then they had a belief that there was a fear of success, right?
Yeah.
And so subconsciously they're just giving it away because they're not wanting to become successful. And so we're not born with these fears. They're created.
That's exactly right. They're created. Yeah.
They're created, right? And we've created them. In fact, we're only born with 2 fears: a fear of loud noises and a fear of falling.
Yeah.
Right? Neither of those are the same fears that we're feeling today, that's stopping us from getting to that next level.
Yeah. My daughter certainly doesn't love loud noises. We were at the at the sanctuary here not far from Melbourne, and one of the big parrots literally just screeched at her. And man, she was not happy. She was absolutely terrified. It was, those cries that just come from that real pure kind of vulnerable state you get in where it's just, it's your loss of control. And she was just so sad. We just took her straight out of there. I'm like, it's not so bad. But the thing that I want to point out here is you can't rationalize it when it's happened already. Like the trigger's already been pulled. The pattern's already unfolded. The behavior's already gone into reaction. Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you change this?
Right. And that's the question. It's like, okay, now Karim, you've told me that I've got this. Now what do we do? Conventional coaching or therapy or talk therapy would be like just talking about it, right? You can read books, you can, listen to podcasts, you can do whatever, right? These are all based on the conscious mind. So you've got a conscious mind. I didn't even know what conscious and subconscious. As soon as someone said that, I just rolled my eyes, right? I didn't even know what it meant, right? I thought it was a big word. This is how simple I was as a person. So your mind is broken up into two sort of segments, conscious and subconscious. Conscious just means awareness. You're aware, right? So you're aware that you want to lose weight. You're aware that you want to earn more money. You're aware that insert whatever thing that you want, right? And these are the things that we want and aware of now. That is only 5% of our behavior. Then you're thinking, where does the other 95% come from? This is the subconscious, right? So think of it like a mega hard drive with everything that you've lived, said, believed in, thoughts. These are all in the subconscious. And between the conscious and the subconscious, there is this brick wall. It's like a firewall, right? And so since all those behaviors and all those fears, as an example, live at the subconscious, you're probably thinking, how do I get there? Right? What I use is like a key to get inside that brick wall. And it looks and feels like hypnosis. It's a key to get into the subconscious, into that world, into that realm, and help rewire and remove all the past negative beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and rewire your future for success. And some people will roll their eyes and think, man, that's just a whole lot of bullshit. Right? Or like hypnosis, isn't that like for clucking like chickens? Isn't that for quit smoking? I heard only some people can be hypnotized. Right? I don't believe in that. Right? But the question is, it's not if you can believe in it. It's like you're already hypnotized on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And they don't know that. And they're like, what do you mean? Can you talk to me more about that? And I'm like, okay. So if you're watching a movie, a scary movie or a funny movie, and you're moved by it, maybe you're crying, maybe you're feeling a little bit scared, your mind is telling you that that moment is real. But if you look around the room, you're sitting on a couch eating popcorn. You're looking at a plastic screen played by actors. Like this scene is played by actors. But in that moment, it feels real that you have to be moved. You're in a trance. Right?
The threat is real. Yeah. But the danger is not.
Feels like it's real. But you're in a trance. You're being hypnotized. Or if like, I remember, when I was growing up, if I smelt tequila or scotch, I would feel like I need to throw up.
Yeah.
Right? Where is the link between smelling something and then throwing up? I was in a trance at that time. Because when I was a little bit younger, I threw up from having tequila. And so my mind had that association, right? Or if I'm driving down the freeway and I look at a burger or a pizza, right? And then 2 days later, I'm eating that burger or pizza, right? I'm in a trance. It's everywhere. People use it for marketing. Directors in movies use it all the time. They know which subconscious emotional strings to pull to get people bought in.
Yeah.
It's not a question of, this is based on science. It's not woo-woo.
It's the science of storytelling, effectively, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Because you can't convey a story without language.
And emotion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
can obviously by signing, but you're effectively doing it through a different mode. It's still the same thing. It's still getting people on that journey or in that trance that
Yes.
moves them.
Yes.
So get your body to feel what your brain is taking in.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'll think back to your original question, and sometimes I go off track a little bit because I get too excited. I noticed to feel that fear within myself to the point, Sean, where I'll be writing an email because I would be, wanting to introduce myself to someone at a very high level or whatever it is, right? I could literally see my hand shake. I could
Yeah.
notice that. I could notice myself freeze. I could notice the self chatter. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm just going to do this even though I'm scared,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to do it
Yeah.
even though I'm scared. Because it's sort of like your parents coming in to tell you at night, there's no boogeyman, right? And you're trying to convince them that there's no boogeyman, there's no ghost, or maybe there was. No, I'm joking. Right? And you're trying to find rationale. And so in that moment, I'm like, can I do it by being scared? And so I do.
Yeah.
I notice it there, but I'm like, whatever, man. I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it being scared anyway.
So how powerful can affirmations be in this process? Because I know that there's really two sectors of people in this realm. There's people who kind of just look at the science, and then there's the people who are just like believers regardless of what the science says.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another camp that just I'm not taking any part of that. I just focus on data and stats, and that's what I do, right? I just want to measure everything. I noticed something with my daughter again. I love the relationship that I have with her, and just being able to help her and seeing myself in her as well. It's such a rewarding journey. But the other day we were at the farm and they do pony rides there. And we had been to the farm and she was so excited to go on the pony. She did it. I think the first time she was too scared to do it. She went to do it and didn't hop on the pony, didn't do it. Second time, her cousin was there with her and she did it. She jumped on. From the third time to about the 10th time, she wanted to do it, but she couldn't make herself do it. The other day, I was like, my daughter's name is Kelsey. I was like, Kelsey, remember, you want to do it, right? You want to try it. Remember, you can say this in your own head. I am strong. I can do anything. I am capable. It's reaffirming these patterns that, it's going to be scary, but you can do it. And she just jumped on the pony and did it. It was like this massive, massive proud moment for me. I was so happy and so excited for her that my wife wasn't there. Her mum wasn't there. So she missed out on that moment, but it was just such a proud dad moment. And I'd love for you to speak into the power of affirmations for a second, but understanding they have to be relative to what you're going through in that situation.
Yeah. So people, you're right. There are two camps, right? But people don't really understand is that You already have affirmations, whether you're a believer or not. It's not about, again, it's not about believing or thinking this is woo. You already have an identity about yourself in that moment. That's your affirmation, right? And so if you're going through something like a really hard challenge and you can't get to that next level, maybe your affirmation is something like, I am not skilled enough. I don't know enough, right? I'm not deserving enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough, pretty enough. Insert whatever belief that is. You've already got the affirmation. And so you've already decided about what character and how you're playing in that moment. So if that's real, then on the flip side can be real too. Right? So you can create other affirmations, ones that actually can suit you in that moment to take you to where you want to go. And so often we see those negative ones that I mentioned earlier through the eyes of a younger child. They don't even notice that they're doing that. Right? Maybe they're seeing it through the eyes of a 6-year-old version of them, because it reminds them of a certain moment when they were going through that same thing. And in that moment, they're in a trance. Right? And so it's like snapping them out of it and allowing them to see, hang on, don't see it from a 6-year-old self again. Now that you're seeing it through an older and wiser version, who are you now? Right? I am strong. I am brave. I am capable. I'm deserving. All those things. And that rewires your brain into a new character and a new belief. But that's done through the subconscious. It's like it's double powerful. So it's done in an area. It's not like you're reading from a book or you're reading, just daily affirmations, which are great. I find
Yes.
it a lot more powerful when it's done through the subconscious.
Yeah. Because the subconscious pattern is already there, right? It's already there. And if you're aware of it, and I think this is the beauty of taking your work into action, not having to have like a Boktor Method session with you, but understanding that from that, when you have that session, yes, a lot of that residual kind of resistance is removed, but it's still there.
Yes.
It's still there. Like if you don't fill it up with something better, it's just going to defaultly fill up to where it was before.
Yes.
So you need to still continue the work. And I think that's where a lot of people forget. You still have to do the work. Like there's still more work to do.
It never stops.
And so reaffirming that new belief or that new identity or whatever you want to relate to it as. Like I saw a YouTube, no, it wasn't YouTube, an Instagram video of a little girl climbing a tower. I think it was one of the highest in the US. Her mum and dad were there and she's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And they filmed it. And the whole time she had a camera hooked up to her and a microphone. It was just like, she was just on repeat. I am brave. I'm strong. I'm brave. I'm strong. I'm capable. I can do anything. And it was so beautiful to witness, because having that just support, like you are the parent of your own subconscious. Like you have to keep it safe. If you want to make yourself, or make your life as great as you want to possibly, as great as you possibly can, you have to take ownership of it. It's your child. Crazy, right?
Crazy, man. Crazy the power of the mind.
Yeah. I'd love to ask, because I mean, a lot of the viewers and listeners probably don't know a lot about who you really love working with at the moment. I'd love for you to speak into that, because I know that you're working with some pretty elite sports performers on the field, but mostly actually you're working with them off the field, and it's improving their game on the field, right? who are some of the people you've been working with? One, and two, what kind of results have they experienced?
So I had my first. Usually people grow into this, they work with like semi-pro and then a little bit pro, and then, they work their way up. I got put in the deep end straight away. So I was working with an NFL coach in the US, just over Zoom. I work internationally. And after a session with him, he's like, dude, you need to be working with the NFL boys, like one of my boys. And I just assumed like college kids. And then a day later, I get an inbox from Jalen Hawkins and the Patriots. And I'm like, this is a scam, right? I'm like, this is bullshit, right? And so he messaged me and like, hey, you've been working with my coach. He said some really cool things about you. He recommended that I work with you. And I looked over to my wife and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Look at this. And she's like, what? And I shat myself because I'd never used that in the application of sports. So I'm like, what do I do? And I remember the saying of Richard Branson, right? If someone gives you an opportunity, work it out later, right? Say yes, but work it out later. And that's exactly what I did. I'm like, I don't know exactly what this looks like. It may look messy, but I reckon I'll give him a really good result. I didn't know what result I'll be getting him. So just to give you an example, and I'm allowed to speak about this because he's allowed me to speak openly about this because he's really happy with the results. He's given me an open testimonial. He was when I first jumped on Zoom, he was like in this mansion and I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's like MTV Cribs, right?
Yeah.
And I'm still like star shocked. And I'm like, dude, tell me what's going on. And he's like, wanting to perform better on field. I feel like I'm a little bit stuck. I'm hesitating in high pressure moments. I know I've got the skill. And so I just asked him in that moment, okay, so tell me what you're on now, as in salary wise, and where do you want to get to? He told me that he was on only 1.8 million US a year. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, poor you, mate. Right? I'm like, all right, so Jay, I know, and we have a laugh. I'm like, all right, so what do you want? And he's like, I want to get 5. I'm like, okay, cool. So let's work backwards and let's just see what are the things holding you back. It was never about skill at that level. At that level, they've got the skill, they've been hired for the skill, they've trained every day for, when they were younger. And at that level as well, they have a belief that they just want to chase that 1%. But if we can access the subconscious, which is 95%, an area where most of these players haven't accessed or don't access, he's on a different game. And he's like, mate, that's a really good point. And so he wasn't even a starter. He was on the bench. In 1 month or 2, maybe 3, he started playing all the time. He became a starter, right? It's known as a starter, where they put him on the field automatically. And then he started becoming the it guy. And then he played in the Super Bowl. And then after the Super Bowl, because even though they lost, but he played a really good season.
Yeah.
He got $10 million.
Boom.
It's not about the 10 million, it's about the stats.
Yeah.
Right? And the way that he has been able to perform past his mental barriers. And I asked him, I'm like, dude, like with this kind of money that you're earning at the moment, you can literally hire Tony Robbins. Like the best. Like he is like the godfather, right? He's like the OG.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I know, but He doesn't do it like you. And so that became very humbling for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And so I would have many meetings even with his manager. And she'd be like, dude, like on and off the field, you're having such a big impact. Yeah, and she's saying that, they don't do it. They don't have access to something like this in the States. Or maybe they do, but they just don't know about it, right? But I'm all the way in Australia. And then I'm like, well, if I can do it with the guys in the US, then I can do it with the guys at home. So then I started working with some AFL guys. Working with Harry Sheasel, I think he's like, he might be nominated now for the Brownlow. Elijah Sarsis with Essendon, Blake Drury with Crows, so many other NFL players as well, AFL too that I can't mention, but yeah. I should have, looking back at it now, I should have asked Jalen for a percentage, and I'll be in a different house for sure. But now I know what I'm capable of. It could be something that, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, where am I? Like, I'm the boy that couldn't speak. I'm the boy that had dyslexia that couldn't read books. I was the boy that didn't have friends. I was the boy that was bullied. I felt like that I was never going to be able to like even do something like this.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're just starting the game. And so if I can do it, right, anyone can. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to put myself on a high horse because I'm a startup, right? I'm not cashed up. I'm not nothing like that. I'm still going through the motions of understanding where I fit in the market. I'm still trying to remain humble, grassroots kind of guy. I haven't figured it all out, and I don't think I ever will. And I think it's okay for other people not to feel like they haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. It's like no one ever knows what's going on. Right? They're just making it up as they go.
That's it.
And no one ever says that that's normal. Right? And feeling fearful as you're going because financial constraints or the pressure that you've got because you need to provide for your family, or those things still affect me till this day. But at the same time, I'm trying to live the best version of myself and trying to give back globally.
Love it, man. Yeah. It's your story alone is inspirational, and now being able to take that to the people who give that instant, like you can see the instant feedback that this work has on them. I think it's such an interesting space that you've landed in, and I can't wait to see it unfold more and more. But before we finish up our conversation today and this episode of the podcast, I'd love to ask one last question, and that is, with everything you know now, go back to that moment where you were in your jocks, so in despair of like, what do I do? What is happening to me? Like, how do I get out of this? What advice could you give yourself to the man who's sitting in his jocks right now?
I'd be like, you don't look good in your jocks. Put some clothes on. The neighbors can see through the window, right? No. I would say that it's okay to feel like this. That you're exactly where you need to be, and this is how you created the movement for yourself. Because you needed to be uncomfortable. And this moment when you're feeling uncomfortable is when you just started to make movement, started to make a change for yourself. And this is going to be one of the most defining moments in your life, not only for you, not only for your son that's coming, but for your other 2 children, for your wife, for your family, but also globally. And it's bigger than you. So, yeah.
Well said. It's bigger than you. Very,
Yes.
very well said. Man, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much, Karim. Yeah, well, that brings us to the end of the episode of the reset today. So if you want to stop being a passenger in your own life and start being the architect of your legacy, make sure you comment the word reset and I'll send you the 7-day integrity reset. Remember that most people wait for their lives to change. We are the ones who architect our choices. Change your state. Choose how you show up. I am Sean Tucker. I will see you in the next one.